Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to read Junie B. Jones and the Stupid Smelly Bus. And there she is, holding her nose. It's by Barbara Park, and the illustrations are by Denise Brunkus. And let's get started. Here is room 9, kindergarten friends. Here's Mrs., the teacher. There's Junie B., Richie Lucille, that Grace, Meanie Jim, Crybaby William, Polly Allen Puffer, Jamal Hall, Ricardo, Roger, Charlotte, and Lenny. Let's get started. Here's the page of contents that tells us all of the different chapters that are going to be in the book. You can see that there are 10 of them, and the first one is called Meeting Mrs. And there's Junie B. Isn't she cute? Chapter 1, Meeting Mrs. My name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. I'm almost 6 years old. Almost 6 is when you get to go to kindergarten. Kindergarten is where you go to meet new friends and not watch TV. My kindergarten is the afternoon kind. Today was my first day of school. I'd been to my room before, though. Last week, Mother took me there to meet my teacher. It was called Meet the Teacher Day. My teacher was decorating the bulletin board with the letters of the alphabet. I already know all those letters, I said. I can sing them, except I don't feel like it right now. My teacher shook my hand, only our hands didn't fit together that good. Her name was Mrs. I can't remember the rest of it. Mrs. said I looked cute. I know it, I said. That's because I have my new shoes. I held my foot high in the air. See how shiny they are? Before I put them on, I licked them. And guess what else, I said. This is my bestest hat. Grandpa Miller bought it for me. See the devil horns sticking out the sides? Mrs. laughed, except I don't know why. Devil horns are supposed to be scary. Then we walked around the room and she showed me where the stuff was, like easels where we get to paint, and the shelves where the books are, and the tables where we sit and don't watch TV. One of the tables in the front of the room had a red chair. I would like to sit here, I think, I told her. But Mrs. said, we'll have to wait and see, Junie. B, I said, call me Junie B. I hollered the B real loud so she wouldn't forget it. People are always forgetting my B. Mother rolled her eyes and looked at the ceiling. I looked up there too, but I didn't see anything. Are you going to ride the bus, Junie B? Mrs. asked. I made my shoulders go up and down. I don't know. Where's it going to? My mother nodded her head and said, yes, she'll be riding the bus. That made me feel scary inside because I never rided the bus before. Yeah, only where's it going to? I asked. Mrs. sat on her desk, and then she and my mother talked more about the bus. I tapped on Mrs. Guess what? I still don't know where it's going to. Mrs. smiled and said the bus driver's name was Mr. Wu. Mr. Wu said, Mother, that's an easy name for Junie B to remember. I covered my ears and stamped my foot. Yeah, only where's the stupid smelly bus going to? Mother and Mrs. frowned. Frowning is when your eyebrows look grumpy. Watch yourself, Missy, said Mother. Missy's my name when I'm in trouble. I looked down at my shoes. They didn't look as shiny as they did before. And just then, another mother and a boy came in, and Mrs. went off to talk to them instead of me. I don't know why, though. The boy was hiding behind his mother, acting very babyish. I can beat that boy up, I think. After that, my mother sat me down and explained about the bus. She said it's yellow, and it's called a school bus, and it stops at the end of my street. And then I get on it and I sit down and it takes me to school. "And then your teacher will meet you in the parking lot," said Mother. "Okay, Junie B, won't that be fun?" I nodded the word yes, but inside my head I said the word no. Chapter 2, Feeling Squeezy. I stayed scared about the bus for a whole week, and last night when my mother tucked me into bed, I still felt sickish about it. "Guess what?" I said. "I don't think I want to ride that school bus to kindergarten tomorrow." Then my mother rumpled my hair. "Oh, sure you do," she said. "Oh, sure I don't," I said back. And then Mother kissed me and said, "It'll be fun. You'll see. Just don't worry." I did, though. I worried very much, and I didn't sleep so good either. And this morning I felt very droopy when I got up, and my stomach was squeezy, and I couldn't eat my cereal. And so I watched TV until Mother said it was time to get ready to go. And then I put on my skirt that looks like velvet and my new fuzzy pink sweater, and I ate half a tuna sandwich for lunch. After that, Mother and I walked to the corner to wait for the bus. And guess what? There was another mother and a little girl there too, and the little girl had curly black hair, which is my favorite kind of head. I didn't say hello to her, though, 'cause she was from a different street, that's why. Then finally this big yellow bus came around the corner, and the brakes squeaked very loud, and I had to cover my ears. Then the door opened, and the bus driver said, "Hi, I'm Mr. Wu. Hop on." Except I didn't hop on 'cause my legs didn't want to. "I don't think I want to ride this bus to kindergarten," I told my mother again. Then she gave me a little push. "Go on, Junie B," she said. "Mr. Wu is waiting for you. Be a big girl and get on." I looked up at the windows, and the little girl with the curly black hair was already in the bus. She looked very big sitting up there, and kind of happy. "Look, how big that little girl is acting, Junie B," said Mother. "Why don't you sit right next to her? It'll be fun. I promise." And so I got on the bus, and guess what? It wasn't fun. Chapter 3, The Stupid Smelly Bus. The bus wasn't like my daddy's car at all. It was very big inside, and the seats didn't have any cloth on them. And the little curly girl was sitting near the front, and so I tapped on her. "Guess what?" I said. "My mother said for me to sit here." "No," she said. "I'm saving this seat for my best friend Mary Ruth Marble." Then she put her little white purse on the place where I was going to sit. And so I made a face at her. "Hurry up and find a seat, young lady," said Mr. Wu. And so I quick sat down across from Curly Mean Girl, and Mr. Wu shut the door. It wasn't a regular kind of door, though. It folded in half, and when it closed, it made a whooshy sound. I don't like that kind of door. If it closes on you by accident, it will cut you in half, and you'll make a squishy sound. The bus made a big roar. Then a big puff of black, smelly smoke came out of the back end of it. It's called bus breath, I think. Mr. Wu drove for a while, and then the brakes made that loud, screechy noise again. I covered my ears so it couldn't get inside my head. 'Cause if loud, screechy noises get inside your head, you have to take an aspirin. I saw that on a TV commercial. Then the bus door opened again, and a dad and a boy with a grouchy face got on. The dad smiled, and then he plopped the grouchy boy right next to me. "This is Jim," he said. "I'm afraid Jim isn't too happy this afternoon." The dad kissed the boy goodbye, but the boy wiped it off his cheek. Jim had a backpack. It was blue. I love backpacks. I wish I had one of my very own. One time I found a red one in this trash can, but it had a little bit of gushy on it, and my mother said no. Jim's backpack had lots of zippers. I touched each one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, I counted. Then I unzipped one. "Hey, don't!" yelled Jim. He zipped it right up again, and then he moved to the seat in front of me. I hate that Jim. After that, The bus kept stopping and starting, and lots of kids kept getting on, loud kids, and some of them were kind who looked like meanies. Then the bus began getting very noisy and hot inside, and the sun kept shining down on me in my fuzzy hot sweater. And here's another hot thing. I couldn't roll down my window because it didn't have a handle, and so I just kept on getting hotter and hotter, and it smelled in the bus too. The bus smelled like an egg salad sandwich. "I want to get off here," I said right out loud, but nobody heard me. I hated in this stupid, smelly bus. And then my eyes got a little bit wet. I wasn't crying, though, 'cause I'm not a crybaby, that's why. After that, my nose started running, only the bus didn't have a glove compartment, which is where you keep the travel tissues, of course. And so I had to wipe my nose on my fuzzy pink sweater sleeve. Then I stayed on the bus for about an hour or 3, until finally I saw a flagpole and a playground. That meant we were at kindergarten. Then Mr. Wu drove the bus into the parking lot and stopped. I jumped up very fast because all I wanted to do was get off that stupid smelly thing. Only guess what? That Jim pushed right in front of me, and the curly mean girl did too. And then people started squishing me real tight, and so I pushed them away, and they pushed me right back. That's when I fell down, and a big foot stepped on my skirt that looks like velvet. "Stop it!" I yelled. Then Mr. Wu hollered, "Hey, hey, hey!" and he picked me up and helped me off the bus. Mrs. was waiting for me just like my mother said. "Hi, I'm glad to see you," she called. Then I ran over to her, and I showed her the big footprint on my skirt that looks like velvet. "Yeah, only look what happened. I got stepped on, and so now I'm soiled." Mrs. brushed it. "Don't worry, Junie," she said. "It'll come off." After that, I just folded my arms and made a frown. 'Cause guess what? She forgot my bee again. Chapter 4. Me and Lucille and some other kids. Some of the other bus kids turned out to be in my class too. One of them was that Jim. That Jim I hate. Mrs. made us line up. Then we followed her to our room. Its name is Room 9. There were other kids waiting by the door. When Mrs. unlocked it, everyone squeezed in all at once. That Jim stepped on my new shoe, and he made a scratch mark on my shiny toe. The kind of scratch that licking won't fix. "Hey, watch it, you dumb Jim," I hollered at him. Mrs. bent down next to me. "Let's try to use our quiet voice while we're in school," she said. I nodded nicely. "I hate that Jim," I said in my quiet voice. After that, Mrs. clapped her hands together very loud. "I want everyone to find a chair and sit down as fast as you can," she said. That's when I ran to the table with the red chair. Only guess what? There was already someone sitting there, a girl with little red fingernails. And so I tapped on her and said, "I would like to sit there, I think." "No," she said, "I am." "Yeah, only I already picked that chair out," I told her. "Ask my mother if you don't believe me." But the girl just shook her head no, and then Mrs. clapped her hands loud again and said, "Please find a seat." And so then I had to quick sit down in a stupid yellow chair. The name stupid color as the stupid yellow bus. After that, Mrs. walked to a big closet in the back of the room. It's called the supply closet. She got out boxes of new pointy crayons and some white circles. Then she passed them out, and we had to print our names on the circles and pin them to our fronts. It was our first work. "If you need help spelling your name, raise your hand," said Mrs. I raised my hand. "I don't need help," I told her. "Grandma Miller says I print beautifully." I used red, but then a mistake happened. I made my Junie too big, and there wasn't any room left for my B, and so I had to squish it very teeny at the bottom. "I hate this stupid dumb circle," I hollered. Mrs. made the shh sound and gave me a new one. "Thank you. I said nicely. Grandma Miller says I print beautifully. The girl with the little red fingernails was faster than me. She showed me her circle and pointed to her letters. Lucille. That spells Lucille, she said. I like that name of Lucille, I said. 'Cause guess why? Seals are my favorite animals, that's why. Then Mrs. passed out drawing paper, and we drew pictures of our family. Mrs. put a happy face sticker on mine. It was very good, except I made my father too teeny, and Mother's hair looked like sticks. After that, Mrs. took our class on a walk around the school. Everyone had to find a buddy to walk with. My buddy was Lucille. We held hands. The boy I can beat up was right in front of us. His buddy was that Jim. That Jim I hate. The first place we walked to is called the Media Center. My mother calls it the library. It's where all the books are. And guess what? Books are my favorite things in the whole world. Hey, there's a jillion of 'em in here, I hollered, feeling very excited. I think I love this place. The librarian bent down next to me, and she said to use my quiet voice. Yeah, only guess what? Right now I just like the kind of books with pictures, but Mother says when I get big I'm going to like the kind with just words, and also stewed tomatoes. The boy I can beat up said, Shh! I made a fist at him, and then he turned around. After that, we went to the cafeteria. The cafeteria is where kids eat lunch, except not when you're in kindergarten. I said, it smells yummy in here, just like pescetti and meatballs. Then that Jim turned around and held his nose. P.U. I smell you, he said. Lucille laughed very hard, and so I stopped holding her hand, and the next place we went to was the nurse's office. It's very cute in that place. There are 2 little beds where you can get to lie down, and 2 little blankets that are the color of plaid. Our nurse doesn't look like a nurse. She doesn't wear white clothes and white shoes. Our nurse is just a regular color. Lucille raised her hand. My brother said that last year he came here and you let him take off his shoes and he got to drink of the water in just his socks. That Jim turned around. P.U. I smell your feet, he said to Lucille. This time, Lucille stuck out her tongue at him. After that, we held hands again. Chapter 5. Principal. After we left the nurse, we went to the main office. That's where the boss of the school lives. His name is Principal. Principal is a baldy. He talked to us. Then Lucille raised her hand. My brother said that last year he had to come down here, and you yelled at him, and now he's not allowed to beat up kids at recess anymore. Principal kind of laughed. Then he held the door for us to leave. After that, we walked to the water fountain, and Mrs. let us get a drink. I didn't get a long one, though, 'cause kids kept tapping on me. Hurry up, girl, they said. Yeah, only guess what? That's not even my name, I told them. Her name is Junie Bumblebee, said Lucille. Then she laughed, but I didn't think it was a very funny joke. And after that, Mrs. showed us where the bathrooms were. There's 2 kinds of bathrooms in our school, a boys' kind and a girls' kind. I can't go in the boys' kind, though, 'cause no girls allowed, that's why. I tried to peek my head in there, but Mrs. snapped her fingers at me. The only boy who got to go into the bathroom was the boy I can beat up. He was jiggling around very much, and then he started running all over the place, and he was holding the front of his pants. William, said Mrs., are you having an emergency? And then William yelled, yes, and he ran right in there. The rest of us walked back to our room. I touched Lucille's fingernails. She said that her fingernail polish is named Very, Very Berry. I would like to have my fingernails red too, I said. But I'm only allowed to have the kind of polish that makes them look shiny. Its name is Clear. Clear is the color of spit. I hate clear, said Lucille. Me too, I told her. And also, I hate yellow, which is the color of that stupid smelly school bus." Lucille nodded her head. "My brother said when you ride home on the bus, kids pour chocolate milk on your head." Then all of a sudden, my stomach felt very squeezy again, 'cause I had to ride the bus home, that's why. "Why did you have to tell me that for, Lucille?" I said, kind of grouchy. After we got back to room 9, we did some more work. It was a game to help us learn each other's names. I learned Lucille, and also a girl named Charlotte, and another girl named Grace. And then I learned a boy named Ham, which we eat at Grandma Miller's. Pretty soon Mrs. clapped her loud hands together. "Okay, everyone, gather up your things. It's almost time for the bell." Then I heard a noise in the parking lot. It was screechy brakes, and so I looked out the window, and I saw the school bus. It was coming to get me. "Oh no," I said kind of loud, "now I'm going to get chocolate milk poured on my head." And then I chewed on my fingers. Get in line," said Mrs. "When we get outside, I want all of my bus students to come with me. The rest of you must go to the crossing guard." Everyone was lining up. I was the very last one. Just then the bell rang, and Mrs. marched out the door. Then everybody else marched out too. Except guess what? I didn't. Chapter 6. A Good Hider. When you're the very last one in line, nobody watches you. That's how come nobody saw me when I ducked behind the teacher's desk and hid. I'm a good hider. One time at Grandma Miller's house, I hid under the kitchen sink, and then I made a growly sound and sprung out at her. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. Anyway, I stayed scrunched behind the teacher's desk for a while, and then I saw a better place to hide. It was the big supply closet in the back of the room, and so I ran back there very fast, and I squeezed onto the bottom shelf. I squeezed right on top of the construction paper. Most of me was comfortable, except my head was sort of very tight, except my knees were all bended like when I do a somersault. She's really squeezed in there. Look at her. Then I pulled the door mostly closed. "Don't shut it all the way, though, and I mean it," I said right out loud. I stayed real quiet for lots of minutes, and then I heard noises in the hall, and some feet came running into the room. Big people's feet, I think. "What happened?" I heard someone ask. "One of my little girls is lost," said a voice that sounded like Mrs. "Her name is Junie B. Jones, and she didn't get on the bus, so now we've got to go out looking for her." Then I heard some keys jingle, and the feet went running out again, and then the door shut. I still didn't come out of the closet, though. When you're a good hider, you can't come out for a very, very long time. I just stayed there all bended up, and I told myself a story. Not an out-loud story, I just told it inside my head. It was called The Little Hiding Girl. I made it up, and this is how it went. Once upon a time, there was a little hiding girl. She was in a secret spot where nobody could find her, except her head was very tight and her brain was squishing out. But she still couldn't come out of her spot, or a smelly yellow monster would get her, and also some meanies with chocolate milk. The end. After that, I rested my eyes. Resting your eyes is what my grandpa does when he watches TV after dinner, and then he snores, and Grandma Miller says, "Go to bed, Frank." It's not the same thing as a nap, though. 'Cause naps are for babies, that's why. And anyway, I didn't snore, I just did a little drool. Then finally, when my eyes were done resting, they woke up. And so I came out of the closet and ran right to the window, and guess what? There weren't any cars in the parking lot, and no stupid smelly bus either. Whew! "That's a relief," I said. A relief is when your stomach doesn't feel squeezy anymore. After that, I went back to the closet, 'cause while I was hiding, I sniffed the smell of clay, that's why. And clay is my very favorite thing in the whole world. "Hey, I see it up there," I said. The clay was on the middle shelf. I stood on a chair to get it. It was blue and stiff, and so I had to roll it on the floor to make it soft and warm, and then I rolled it into a blue-orange. It was very beautiful, except it had some dirt and hair on it. After I was done, I went to the front of the room and sat down in my teacher's big chair. I like teachers' desks very much. The drawers are so big I could fit in one, I think. I opened up the top one, and there were happy face stickers and rubber bands and also gold stars, which I love a very lot. I stuck one on my forehead, and then I found paper clips and red marking pens, new pencils with no points, and scissors, and travel tissues, and guess what else? Chalk! Brand new chalk that's not even out of its little box yet. And then I stood up on my teacher's chair and clapped my hands together very loud. I want everyone to find a chair and sit down. Today we are going to learn some alphabet and some reading, and also I will teach you how to make a blue orange. But first, everyone has to watch me draw stuff. And then I went to the board and drew with my brand new chalk, and drew a bean and a carrot and some curly hair. And then I wrote some O's. O's are my bestest letter. After that, I bowed. "Thank you very much," I said. "Now you may all go out for recess." I smiled. "Except for not that Jim." Chapter 7. Peeky Holes and Spying. After a while, I started to get a little bit thirsty. That's what happens when chalk sprinkles get in your throat. "I would like a drink of water, I think," I said. And then I put my hands on my hips. "Yeah, only what if somebody sees you at the water fountain? Then they might call the stupid Smelly bus to come get you, and so you better not go." I stamped my foot. "Yeah, only I have to go, 'cause there's dumb chalk in my throat." Then all of a sudden, I got a great idea. I pulled a chair over to the door and I peeked out the window at the top. I'm a good peeker. One time, I peeked right into Grandpa Miller's mouth when he was sleeping, and I saw that dangly thing that hangs down in the back. I didn't touch it, though, 'cause I didn't have a little stick or anything, that's why. Anyway, I didn't see anybody in the hall, and so I opened the door a crack, and I sniffed, 'cause when you sniff, you can smell if there's people around. I learned sniffing from my dog Tickle. Dogs can smell everything. People can mostly just smell big smells, like stink and flowers and dinner. "Nope, don't smell anyone," I said. And then I ran to the water fountain and I drank for a long time, and nobody tapped on me and said, "Hurry up, girl." After that, I stood on my tippy toes and I tippy-toed to the media center, 'cause I love that place, remember? The media center is kind of like a fort. The shelves are like walls and the books are sort of like bricks, and you can move some of them around and make peeky holes. Peeky holes are what you spy out of. Then, if you see somebody coming, you can make your breath very quiet and they won't find you. I spied for a long time, but nobody came. The only people in the media center were just me and some fish. The fish were in a big glass tank. I waved at them in there, and then I stirred them with a pencil. I love fish very much. I eat them for dinner with coleslaw. Just then, I saw my most favorite thing in the whole world. Its name is an electric pencil sharpener, and it was sitting right on the librarian's desk. "Hey," I said, very excited, "I think I know how to work that thing." And then I looked in the desk drawer, and guess what? There were lots of brand new pencils in there, and so I sharpened them. It was funner than anything, 'cause an electric pencil sharpener makes a nice noise, and you can make pencils as teeny as you want. You can just keep pushing them into the little hole, and they just keep on getting teenier and teenier. It doesn't work on crayons, though. I tried a red one, and then the pencil sharpener slowed way down, and then it made a rrrr sound, and after that it didn't go anymore. Just then, I heard a noise. It was walking feet, and it made me scared inside because I didn't want anyone to find me, that's why. And so I squatted way down and looked through my peeky hole. Then I saw a man with a trash can. He was singing, "Somewhere over the rainbow." That's a song I know. It's from my favorite movie, which is called The Wizard of Oz. The man and the can didn't see me. He walked down the hall, and then I heard him go outside. I stayed squatted down for a long time, but he never came back. Whew! That was a close one, I said. And so then I ran to find a better place to hide. Chapter 8. The Dangerous Nurse's Office. Guess where I ran to? Straight to the nurse's office, of course, 'cause there's those little plaid blankets to hide under. There's other neat stuff in there, too, like a scale to weigh yourself and a sign with a giant E and other letters. The nurse uses the sign to test your eyes. She points to the letters, and you have to yell out their names. You have to yell the E the loudest. That's how come it's so big. And guess what else I saw in the nurse's office? Band-Aids, that's what. I love those guys. They were on top of the desk, and so I opened the lid and I sniffed them. I said, 'cause Band-Aids smelled just like brand new beach ball. And then I dumped them out. They were the most prettiest Band-Aids I ever saw. They were red and blue and green, and also yellow, which is the color I hate. And they were different shapes, too. They were squares and circles, and some were that very long kind, which are called tangles, I think. I put a green circle on my knee. That's where I fell down on the sidewalk last week. It's mostly all better now. But if I press it very hard with my thumb, I can still make it hurt. After that, I put a blue tangle on my finger. That's where I got a splinter from the picnic table. Mother pulled it out with tweezers, but there's still some table in there, I think. Also, I put a red square on my arm. That's where Tickle scratched me, because I got him all wound up. And just then I saw the nurse's purple sweater. It was hanging on a chair. I put it on. "Now I'm the nurse," I said. Then I sat down and pretended to call the hospital. "Hello, hospital? It's me, the nurse. I need some more Band-Aids and some aspirins and some cherry cough drops, only not the kind that make your mouth feel freezy. And I need some lollipops for when kids get needles. And also, I need a little stick or something in case I have to touch that dangly thing that hangs down in your throat." Then I pretended to call room 9. "Hello, Mrs.? Please send that Jim to my office. I have to give him a shot." Just then I saw my most favorite thing in the whole world. They were near the door, and their names are crutches. Crutches are for when you break a leg. And then the doctor puts it in a big white cast with just your piggies sticking out. And then can't walk on it, and you can't walk on it. And so she gives you crutches to swing yourself. I ran over, picked them up, and then I put them under my arms. Only they were way too long for me, and I didn't swing that good. And so then I got another idea. I carried them to the nurse's chair, and I climbed up so I was real tall. And then I put the crutches under my arms, and they fitted just right. After that, I stood on the edge of the chair and I leaned forward very slow. Except then a terrible thing happened. The chair was on wheels and it rolled away from my feet and I got stuck on the crutches way high in the air and I was very dangly up there. "Hey!" I shouted, "get me down from here!" And then I wiggled around and one of the crutches slipped and I came crashing down and I banged my head on the desk. "Ow!" I yelled. "Ow! Ow! Ow!" And then I picked up the phone again and I quit this stupid job, I said. And then I ran out of there very fast. 'cause the nurse's office is a dangerous place, and crutches aren't my favorite thing. Chapter 9, Zooming Speedy Fast. I like running inside the school. It's funnier than running inside your house. In school, you can zoom with your arms out like a jet plane, and you don't knock over the furniture. And also, the head doesn't get broken off your mother's bird statue, which used to be a blue jay, I think. I zoom straight to the cafeteria, 'cause there's lots of tables to hide under in that place. Only when I tried to open the door, it was all locked up. And so then I ran to another room across the hall. Only that stupid door was locked too. Hey, who did all this dumb locking? I asked. And then I started jiggling up and down, 'cause I was having a little bit of a problem, that's why. The kind of problem that's called personal. And it's about going to the potty. And so all of a sudden, I had to run down the hall speedy quick, right to the girls' bathroom. Only guess what? When I got there, that stupid door wouldn't open either. And so I kicked it, and I hanged on the handle, 'cause I weighed 37. Open up, and I mean it, I yelled. But the door kept on staying shut. It's emergency, I shouted. And then all of a sudden, I remembered about the boy I can beat up, 'cause he had emergency too, and he got to go into the boys' bathroom. And so I zoomed across the hall, and I pulled on the boys' bathroom door. But that dumb thing was locked too. Stupid, stupid doors, I hollered. After that, I started to jiggle up and down very fast. Oh no, now I'm going to have an accident on my skirt that looks like velvet. Only just then I remembered something else about emergencies, 'cause Mother told me what to do if I ever needed help. And its name is call 911. And so then I ran back to the dangerous nurse's office, 'cause that's where the phone was, of course. And then I picked it up, and I pushed the 9 and the 1 and another 1. Help! This is emergency, I yelled. All the doors are locked in this place, and I'm not going to have a terrible accident. And then I heard a voice on the other end. She said to me to calm down. Yeah, only I can't, 'cause I'm in big trouble, and I'm all by myself, and I need help real bad. Then the lady said to calm down again, except for I couldn't stand still, and so I just hung up and ran right out of there. And I just kept running and running till I got to the big doors at the end of the hall, and then I run right outside, 'cause maybe there might be a little toilet out there or something, except I didn't see one. All I could hear was sirens. Loud sirens were all over the place, and they kept on getting closer and closer. And then a big green fire truck came zooming right around the corner, and a white police car, and a fast red ambulance. And guess what else? They turned right into the school parking lot. And so I stopped jiggling for a second, and I sniffed the air, only I couldn't smell any smoke. And then I heard a grouchy voice. Hey, hold it, Missy, it yelled. And I got very scared inside, 'cause Missy's my name when I'm in trouble. I turned around. It was the man with the can, and he was running at me. Hold it right there, he hollered again. And then I started to cry. Yeah, only that's the trouble. I can't hold it, I said. I already holded it all I can, and now I'm having emergency, and all the bathrooms are locked, and now I'm going to have an accident very quick. And then the man with the can didn't look so grouchy anymore. Well, why didn't you say so, sis? He said. Then he pulled a big bunch of keys out of his pocket, and he grabbed my hand, and then him and me zoomed back into the school speedy fast. Chapter 10, Me and That Grace. The man with the can unlocked the girls' bathroom for me, and I ran right in there. And guess what? I made it, that's what, and didn't have an accident on my skirt that looks like velvet. Whew, that was a close one, I said. Then I washed my hands at the sink, and I looked in the mirror, and the gold star was still on my forehead. It looked very beautiful up there. After that, I went into the hall, and the man with the can bended down to me. Everything okay, sis? He said. And so I nodded my head. I holded it, I said, very happy. Then all of a sudden there were lots of people running at us. There were firemen and policemen, and there was a tall lady rolling a bed on wheels. Hey, I said to the man with the can, what happened? Did somebody get runned over in here or something? Then I saw Mrs. and Principal and Mother, and they were running at us too. And then Mother bended down and hugged me very tight. After that, everyone started talking at once, and nobody was using their quiet voices, and nobody was smiling either. Principal started asking me a jillion questions. Mostly they were questions about hiding in the supply closet. I'm a good hider, I told him. Principal acted a little bit grumpy. He said I wasn't allowed to do that anymore. When you go to school, you have to follow the rules, he said. What would happen if every boy and girl hid in the supply closet after school? Well, it would be very smushy in there, I said. And then he made his eyes frowny. But we wouldn't know where anyone was, would we? He said. Yes, I said, we would all be in the supply closet. Then Principal looked up at the ceiling. I looked up there too, but I didn't see anything again. After that, Mother looked at my Band-Aids. Did you hurt yourself? She asked. And so I told her all about the dangerous nurse's office, and then I showed her the nurse's purple sweater, and she made me give it back. After that, everybody started leaving, the firemen and the policemen, and also the tall lady with the bed. Then finally my mother got to take me home, and guess what? I didn't have to ride on the stupid smelly bus. Except the car wasn't that fun, 'cause Mother was grouchy at me. I'm sorry the bus wasn't fun for you, Junie B., but what you did was very, very wrong. Didn't you see all the commotion you caused? You had a lot of people very scared. Yes, but I didn't want chocolate milk poured on my head, I explained to her. That's not going to happen, growled Mother, and you can't just suddenly decide for yourself not to ride the bus. Hundreds of kids ride the buses every day, and if they can do it, you can do it too. And then my eyes got wet again. Yeah, but there's meanies on that thing, I said all sniffly. Then Mother stopped being so growly. What if you had a friend to ride with, she said. Your teacher told me there's a girl in your class who will be riding the bus for the first time tomorrow. Maybe you could sit together. Would you like that? I made my shoulders go up and down. Her name is Grace, said Mother. Grace? Hey, I know that Grace. I learned her today. And so when we got home, Mother called that Grace's mother, and then they talked. And then me and that Grace talked too. I said hi, and she said hi, and she said she would sit with me. And so tomorrow I get to take my red purse on the bus, and I get to put it on the seat next to me so nobody will sit there. Nobody except that Grace, of course. And then she and me might get to be buddies, and we can hold hands just like me and Lucille. I will like that, I think. And guess what else? Tomorrow, I think I might like yellow a little bit too. So that's the end of that story, and you can laugh yourself silly with all of the other Junie B. books. She is quite a character, and we just love her. So until we read again together next time, bye-bye.